Hello, my friend. It's Collrane or Collrane Tarot here on YouTube. My pronouns are they, them, and what I'm creating for you, for the collective today, is this ancestral reading. So, if you're not familiar to connecting with your ancestors, welcome. I'm really grateful for you for starting on this journey. If you are seasoned in connecting with your ancestors, and that is something that you do quite often, thank you so much for being here. The energy so far has been really lovely. Your ancestors really want to come through super strong and deliver some messages of positivity to you today. So thank you so much. Let's get started. So pile one here is going to be this ocean jasper. Real nice coloration here. Pile two is this smoky quartz crystal. And pile three is this labradorite heart with a pink, orange, purple shift. Beautiful. So if you know where to go, I will see you in your pile. If not, pause the video for a moment, take your time, and I will see you in your pile. Bye. Hello, group one. If you selected this first ocean jasper, this is your ancestor reading. So I'm getting the feeling that for some of you, your more recent ancestors may have been involved in motorcycling or just really connected to like mechanics of some kind. For some of you, you may have had somebody who was like a clock worker. I don't know why that came through, but there's like gears that are involved, and I don't know if you caught it, but at the very beginning, as I was introducing or coming into this pile's energy, there was a really loud like motorcycle sound in the background, so that's part of the reason why I feel that was connected. But in any case, even if those two things didn't resonate, or that idea of the gears doesn't resonate fully, there's something about your pile where your ancestors are very methodical. They want to come through and show you that everything's working for you according to a really strong and directed divine plan in your life. And if you don't necessarily resonate with a divine plan, they want to show that there's some kind of design or masterful nature to the way that your life is being woven right now. The ocean jasper also talks about water, our connection to the water, to the beach, but it also talks about ocean travel. This stone is actually bringing through quite a bit for me, so I'm going to keep going with it. But your ancestors may have taken a specific sea journey to get to where you are. So maybe they immigrated to the place that you live currently, or they were really connected to the ocean as well. Yeah, there's something about travel, just being connected to actual modes of transportation as well. It looks like a stingray shape on this stone as well. So a stingray may be a close animal relative of yours. Not physically, but I mean like spiritually, or having that connection to like the manta ray in general. So let's get into your pile, or into the cards, pile one. So the first card here is from the OKANA Oracle, and this card is going to give insight into the kind of shadow aspect of your situation right now, no matter what. So I haven't really specified what situation we're going to be talking about. We're just talking about your life in general, so these will resonate as they apply to your life. So let's get into this one. And this card is Mercurial. Today cannot be like tomorrow. So your ancestors are wanting to start this reading with that smoke energy. I do think that this is an air card. And so the smoke, the incense that I'm burning, is actually really drawing me in, and it's reminding me of when I was lighting it, I was called to really slow down. I have a very active mind, and so sometimes taking time to slow down for the sacred is something that I could use a bit of work on just because of how quickly I move. But for you, I am feeling the same type of draw. Your ancestors guiding you to really sit down and slow down, to really appreciate and make a sacred space if you haven't, especially in your home, or just take time to visit a sacred space as well. Because your ancestors, as they're coming through, they're wanting to remind you of the daily routines and habits that you've built for yourself. And those are what really create a core essence of who you are. So as in, like, maybe they've passed down traditions and you've fallen away from those traditions, or those traditions were maybe intentionally lost. So not to say that your ancestors wanted to remove those traditions, maybe for some, like if these traditions have to do with addiction or mistreatment of others. But there is something here about my cat's joining us too, and I think that that's a sign. They're with you. They're with you through those everyday moments where you're trying to establish those traditions for yourself. And I feel like you're at war. Like, part of you are really, trying to break those traditions, or, bad patterns, or karmic patterns, however you want to call them, those things that kind of impede or hinder upon our growth, and keep us stuck. And the other part of you are really wanting to create traditions that connect you deeper to your ancestry, and that do revive some of those things that may have been lost. So Mercurial, today cannot be like tomorrow, reminds us that when we do things intentionally, when we create from a place of magic, as Mercury kind of reminds us of that magic, that hermetic type of energy of creating ritual, it reminds us that those rituals stand to transform us over time. That's definitely what I'm feeling from this. I know that's not exactly the meaning of this card in the guidebook's written sense, but that's what I'm feeling from your guide. So they're saying that there's something that needs your attention that is like an everyday task that you do that really establishes what's going on in your life. And there are ways to remedy this as well, and remind you that you're not going to be stuck anymore based on the things that you have been doing or that you are doing each and every day to establish a tradition for yourself. And if you have been passing down traditions, for some of you that have children or grandchildren, this is a really important part of your life. And your ancestors are really congratulating you, because it may have been very difficult for you to put yourself into that learner position and then, step back into another uncomfortable position of being a teacher or being the one who passes it on. So they're really wanting to, say thank you and embrace you for doing that. So let's move on. I have some cards from, what is the title of this? The Guiding Light Tarot. And these two cards are representing a message that they wanted to bring through just for you today. Talk about something in your life. And we have the 8 of Wands and the 7 of Wands. Interesting. So these two cards actually, are chronologically together in the tarot. So it goes 7, 8, and these are both, Wands is the suit of fire. So I like to read from the element perspective, and so it's important to me to connect, since the creator has chosen to represent the wands as the fire suit. This really emphasizes your ability to have control and autonomy in your life. The wands represent the magic that we bring forward. So there's something about these ancestors wanting to remind you of the magic that you have within. And magic is not just something that's outside or otherworldly. It is something that we can genuinely feel in a tangible sense. So an example of magic that's coming to my mind is actually yoga. So yoga would be an Indian form of magic, the subcontinent, of course. But it's a physical magic, because what it does is it moves your energy, and it allows you to project energy forward towards, a devoted cause as well, depending on what type of yoga you're doing. So if you look into, the 4 pathways of yoga, that's going to be different forms of it. But it's all about our will and intention that we bring forward through our devoted action, our intention, our thoughts, our words. And so these 7 and 8 together show, that ability to really show up and commit to something in the 7 because of an inner drive. This cannot be something that you feel like, you're forced to do because you're showing up on someone else's behalf. This is something that I really think that you're going to have to get really, in the nitty gritty for yourself and figure out, why am I doing these tasks? Am I doing it because I want to serve someone else? That can be a good, reason to do something. But what in the heart of my heart, my individual self, is pulling me in this direction? What is the stirring within me that's telling me that this is an important decision for me to make over and over and over? For some of you, this has to do with your work. This has to do with the way that you're making your money, or for some of you, it's not necessarily money, it's more of a passion project or something that you do as maybe like a quote-unquote side hustle, but it's something that you're doing that actually fulfills a higher life purpose. And for some of you, this is actually starting this and really persevering. If you felt a little bit of a lull or a pull back in that energy. For a lot of you, it's also being vulnerable. The 7 of Wands reminds me of someone's ability to to present themselves not only through a defense, but also beyond the defense. And so this is reminding me of being able to bear what's deeper beneath, and that's the reason behind something. And I think that's shown here with the muscles that are bare on the card. I apologize for my shaky. But yeah, the 8 of Wands here, next to it, as you can see, almost reminds me of the Wheel of Fortune, because of that kind of star pattern that's made there. And there's something about you wanting to be able to, or your ancestors wanting to support your desire to provide for others as well. There's a strong energy that I'm getting from you as the viewer, from your ancestors, that highlights your ability to give, to be generous with your energy, and to bring something about that's important for others in terms of their life and their path. And so your guides are, or not your guides, but I guess your ancestral guides, they're coming through and saying that this is something that you've inherited from them. This is something that, because of their work in creating a community and sustaining a community and holding that community, you've been able to step into a role where what you're doing needs to be backed by your own desire for this community and not just theirs, even though it's really beautiful that you're following in that line. I'm not exactly sure where this is manifesting in your life, obviously, since this is a general reading, but I think that was a very strong message, just about finding and discovering what that drive behind everything is for you. Yeah, so let's look at the Weaver Tarot, because I want to go a little deeper. This is going to introduce your ancestral guide, at least one main one, or maybe a grouping of them, because I do feel like a lot of you have ancestral guides who almost work as like a network together, and they function as one entity, if that makes sense. So for most of you, these are going to be guides that are have very strong and connected familial ties, but also I feel quite ancient, quite deep back into your lineage. And so for some of you, you may be kind of aware of what cultural group this is, because for some of you this is going to be an isolated connection to a cultural group, maybe through one parent in particular. But for some of you, this is going to be, ancestors that maybe connect from both sides, and they it's not necessarily that, you know, you're related or there's like, you know, a kind of a, I hope I'm explaining this properly. Basically, you know how when people live in a certain region for a long time and families get to know each other, and it's almost like, you know, they're honorary family. So what I'm saying is, like, maybe from both sides there's a connection there that's not actually by blood, but through an honorary connection, if that makes sense. So there's quite a sense of camaraderie. The ruler of wands is, again, more fire energy, but emphasized and lived out through the suit or the representation of the wand. So this is talking about ancestors in your past who really used their belief to bring about some kind of physical manifestation or put forward an idea. And I feel that your ancestors are saying that this is really the time, you know, whatever is happening in the cosmos is really fruitful and fertile for you to be able to set this intention that they've really wanted to carry out, but it's never been the right time. And so I feel that they've passed this down. And for some of them, it's not necessarily that it's never been the right time, or it's potentially that it's been lost as well. So I feel like they're coming through to show you that they're, you know, maybe the original torchbearer, since this does look like a torch. But it's something that, because of the work of how it's changed, they're showing that it's strong medicine for the world at the moment with that Ouroboros here. Because the snake is another symbol of healing, a symbol of medicine. And so they want you to really follow that, follow in their footsteps and present this to the world as well, because this is an energy that is upward in the triangle. That represents to me, for my own personal symbolism of a reader, that they want you to express that outward. And it's only when you conjure that energy from within. So we had 4 affirmations come through from an affirmation deck that I created called the Cloudscapes Affirmation Oracle. This is an oracle that is actually not released, so it's only available through my readings right now, which is kind of nice. But let's get a look at what the affirmations are. And again, there was a little like bike outside that I'm hearing. So your guides really, or your ancestors really want to emphasize your ability to persevere, your ability to travel far, and have your voice and your beliefs be carried through somehow. So the first affirmation is, I take time to cleanse my space and surroundings. Beautiful. Again, with that smoke energy, if you don't currently burn offerings for your ancestors, then maybe that is a time to pick it up. I do feel burning is an important part, just because we have the smoke in the Mercurial card, and we have that fire energy coming through. So maybe even lighting a candle in their honor, or in the honor of like cleansing your space as well. It's important right now. I love being me and discover with curiosity. I also, sorry, as I said this, I realized you have the ocean jasper. So maybe if you can, or if you live near a body of water or the ocean, go and ritual bathe. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, making you stand out if you're in public, but just go and feel the water and pull it up over your body so that your body, the auric field and the physical body can be cleansed by the water as well. Anyway, that was a sidetrack, but this affirmation of I love being me and discover with curiosity is directly relating to the 7 of Wands, which is telling you that you're able to really channel into yourself, and you've come upon this reading for a reason, because it's important for you and you're able to open up to these gifts of yourself and these inner callings as well, especially with the 8 of Wands. This card says, I am a creative force capable of using my power to create or destroy whatever I please. So for some of you, that is talking about those patterns, those traditions that I was mentioning earlier. And I'm thinking of actually my own great uncle who wrote a book that's honestly based on breaking some of my own ancestral traditions in their own way, those more like toxic ones. But he says tradition and modernity are not two different things. These are things that are interconnected and an important part of our individual self as well, because we are, product of tradition, and it's something that no matter what we think of in the past connected to our tradition, we are a continuation of that. And I feel that you are a creator. No matter who you are, you have this creative ability that, we all have, because we're all from source. We're all from this creative spark in life. And you're capable of using your power to be a destructive and creative force, because destruction is another form of creation. It creates something new that is without that thing of the past. And so I think it's important for you to recognize that whatever you're being called to do, even if it's scary, even if it is supposed to change things, it's guided through a really important place within your heart, within your soul, within your blood. Finally, your affirmation here to close this reading is, I am patient with situations beyond my control. I feel like you have been patient, Pile 1, for a really long time. And this Ocean Jasper reminds us to go with the flow. You're really need to listen to your inspiration. When you don't feel called to move forward on something, don't push it. Allow it to flow from you, because you have something like a seed within you that's begun to grow that you're supposed to now be sharing. And if others around you aren't receiving it in the right way, or the opportunities, because for some of you this relies on worldly pursuits to, support this and the movement of this, or whatever you're supposed to be bringing out, you need to allow yourself to be patient, and especially be patient with yourself. If you don't feel like you're quite ready for certain things, let your own inner voice be the guide as well. Yeah, but that's all I'm seeing for you, Pile 1. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for opening yourself to your ancestors. Thank you to the ancestors of this group who have come through and channeled through this reading and connected with each of their loved ones. I am sending you so much love, so many blessings. If you want to support me, you can like, subscribe, share this video, or just find me in the next one. Thanks, my friends, and I'll see you again soon. Bye. Hello, Pile 2. If you selected this smoky quartz, this is your pile. For some reason, I was hearing like, hello, like a British type of greeting. So that's kind of interesting. You, at least, even if you're not, you don't have British ancestry, there's some like kind of quirky ancestor coming through. Someone who, maybe liked to do accents even if they're not like from your own culture. And for some of you, you have ancestors who did emigrate places, and now that's where you live. Or they emigrated somewhere else that you don't live right now. So they grew up somewhere that maybe you haven't ever been to. But that's besides the point. I'm starting to get weird, like, specific people. But I want to bring it back and focus. So for this pile, I was honestly very excited to do your reading because the energy from this pile was just luminous. You have some really high guides, and I feel like most of you, for the majority, you've been connecting with your ancestors. You've been serving for them as well, and they want to really thank you. Sorry, my leg's falling asleep, so I gotta move a little bit. Okay. Sorry about that. But yeah, your guides really want you to be comfortable. Your ancestors want you to know that you're supposed to enjoy this next period of your life. I don't know what's been going on for you, but some of you, you're really moving into a place of leisure. And as well, for a lot of you, healing. If you've been going through quite a darker period, the smoky quartz reminds us of our ability to transmute this pain, this darkness, and really shine that through as a balanced part of our light. Allow the darkness to be there when we express our light. And I know that those are kind of cliched, like spiritual topics, and sometimes they don't always land as effectively as we need them. But I mean, take a look at this smoky quartz and see how it refracts the light. It's just as airy, it's just as clear, it's just as receptive and powerful as a regular quartz crystal, but it has that smoky sheen within it that shows that it has substance. It has something, filling through the center, and it has a bit of shade within it to provide some of that depth, that richness. And so I feel like that's maybe a metaphor for your energy right now, because this energy does feel quite grounded, as well as being quite heightened spiritually. So let's get a look at what your ancestors want to bring through using the OKANA oracle. This is representing a message of something that's maybe hidden or more in the shadow, I guess. Something that's the deeper root or the underworld kind of influence in your life. So we have plenty. A trifle grows where nothing else will sprout. This card is actually a really positive card within this deck. Some of them can be quite harsh, but this card is representing that again, you're supposed to start to experience joy, fruitfulness, excitement, something blossoming where before it was desolate and barren. There is an aspect of your life where you're being supported by the earth itself. You have quite a few like animal guides, plant guides even, that are coming through and honoring you as being their descendant as well. And I feel humbled to be able to bring you this message, because these plant guides, these or I guess plant relatives you could call them as well, animal relatives, animal guides, they're wanting to remind you that they've supported your physical body long before you were even a possibility, right? And they did that by supporting your ancestors in the flesh. And I also want to remind you that because of, the pain of your ancestors, I feel like for some of you, you had quite a bit of almost like karmic debt because of who your ancestors were and what they did. Because, it's not always going to be perfect. You felt a bit of that guilt for a long time in your life, or you've had to pay the price. That's what that debt kind of energy is. And for a lot of you, you felt like you deserved to pay that debt. And these animals and plants, that are coming through, they want to show that you're able to heal. Just because, someone passed a sickness on to you doesn't mean that you are bad, you're guilty, you're a negative being, that you're not supported. The earth, these natural elements, they want to show you and remind you that you are loved and you're here for a reason. And there is abundance that is available to you, and you have the ability to cultivate it. You have that green thumb needed to provide. And I feel that that there is, it took a while for a lot of you to be selective enough to where you have the blessing of these ancestors. Because sometimes we, meander around and we're not quite sure, and we'll ask for things or wish or plant seeds for things that aren't necessarily good for us, or they won't, connect to our body quite right, because each of us has a different body, right? So I guess that's like a metaphor that they want to bring through. So like, for example, when some people eat cilantro, it's literally a gene that, determines whether it tastes like soap or whether it tastes delicious. And I'm sure you know this, but it's that kind of a thing. Our bodies will respond and react based on our DNA, based on, the environment that we grew up in, to remind us what is nourishing, what is an enjoyable experience. And so for a lot of you, you've really struggled to find that, but you've started to figure out exactly what environment, what conditions, what exact seeds are good for you to begin to nourish. And so a lot of you are really doing that work. You've done that dedicated inner work for yourself. And so your ancestors are showing up as your, cohort, your co-workers in a way, your collaborators, because they really want to bring your perspective to be more well-rounded, to show you that there are so many beings, so many spirits as well that are on your side. And I like how they're kind of showing me that a lot of times we see these spirits as being on the other side, right? We call it, we push it farther from our realm, but they want to show that they're incarnated through this realm. They've brought themselves, they've brought your spirit through and held you in this delicate, intricate center almost, and they're really pushing a lot of energy towards you to enable you to experience pleasure in your life, experience that connectedness as well. I feel that you felt really disconnected from spirit until very recently, and they want to show up and say thank you for pushing through, for persevering, for continuing to be open to our ability to, connect with you, to be here for you. So, okay. I have quite a bit that came through from the Guiding Light Tarot, and this is going to be actually the main message. So, we've got a lot of cards. We have the World in the reverse, so it's kind of the reverse cards on the ends. The World, we have the Queen of Pentacles, the Nine of Wands, the Empress, and the Nine of Cups. So 2 nines going on here, the 3, the Queen, and then 21. So I feel like the World is showing here that you're quite a balanced individual. This is almost how they're seeing you, your ancestors. They look down on you and recognize that maybe you have quite a big love for this realm. A lot of you, I feel, already do have earth-based connections or earth-based practices. They want to remind you to keep that up, especially if some of those you've gotten a little, I don't want to say lazy, but you've neglected to continue them as much. And this can be something as simple as having a garden. This can be something as big as, working for environmental justice, that kind of a thing. But there's something that these ancestors really want to remind you of, your well-roundedness, because you're someone who really is adaptable. They want to remind you that you don't have to always adapt if you don't feel comfortable doing something or you don't feel comfortable somewhere. The Queen of Pentacles is this is an earth energy, but this is an earth energy that is nourished from within. So this is someone who's grounded and rooted within their environment as well. And so that's just affirming this card here. You're someone who's really found the ability to make the most out of nothing in your life. And so I feel that a lot of you have become quite thrifty in a way, or you're able to envision and create things almost like miracles in your life. And your guides want to show you that this is a skill that's going to make whatever blessings that are coming in seem even more fruitful, even more abundant. Moving on to the Nine of Wands, I feel it's really connected to the Nine of Cups here. This is showing that because you've maybe wished upon a star, or you've asked for some kind of guidance or support from your ancestors, that they're showing up with all of, what's that phrase? Like, every resource is available to you in terms of like the spiritual power that they want to place behind you. The Nine of Wands is showing that because of your firm beliefs, they're going to really bring a lot of blessings your way. And I feel that this is actually in the reverse, almost at the kind of future position of the reading, to show that this is something that hasn't quite come in yet. I'm really drawn to the 4-leaf clover above this stack of cups as well, because this is showing that there is a foundation that has been built and tended to and, brought up from the ground. It's from the ground up. And I'm actually thinking of the Dan and Shay song From the Ground Up, and that's actually talking about the ancestors who laid a foundation before. So there is something where, because you've really honored your connection to this world and your ability to be brought through it, and honestly the power of the feminine energy within the world as well. There's something that you're really being empowered and emboldened to be able to carry, to be able to bring through, because we have the Empress here as well. And the Empress is not necessarily just a feminine card. I don't want to limit it, but I do feel that there are those energies of being able to, rely on your intuition, rely on your instincts, care and listen, honestly, because the Empress reminds us of that void space, and so it's that space of holding, carrying, being able to make room for something. The Empress is not, just a womb type of energy. It's also being able to bring something forth from within and use that power that's an internal power. An empowered feminine energy is very much not self-reliant, but it's regenerative or self-generative. I hope that that's making sense. But it's something that, conjures energy from within and doesn't rely on it from the external. Whereas, an empowered masculine is maybe an energy that more brings together something outside of themselves. So there's something that you've really grounded this power within you, and they're wanting to say that your ancestors are saying that you deserve to be able to bring this together with others and be admired for this power that you hold within as well, because this internal self is kind of mirrored here after this Queen of Pentacles, representing that this is a strong internal world for you, and it's something that's rooted and grounded and ready to be able to produce. So you're actually able to sit back soon. I feel that for a lot of you this is a very fruitful energy. And so, what does a tree do? A fruit-bearing tree, what does it do after it's grown, after it's gone through all those, struggles of the cycles and the seasons? Oh, it starts to produce fruit effortlessly. And it's something that after a blossom, it turns into a beautiful fruit that is then, able to be fed to others. And so I feel like this is your ancestors saying thank you for finishing, for carrying this out for us, for holding us so close to your heart, for believing those seeds that we planted and for honoring them. And I feel that this is not just a sincere type of energy, it's also a very lighthearted, loving energy. A lot of your ancestors may come and try and give you hugs. You may just feel warmth pass over your body, and that's them, holding that strong space for you and really coming through and saying, look, I'm with you, I'm here, I'm still fighting with you for this. Beautiful. Yeah, and I'm actually noticing that there's, this pointing down energy within all three of the figures here. So you may have 3 strong guides, actually. And that's funny because the next card from the Weaver Tarot, the next 2, are actually representing how your guides wanted to introduce themselves. So these are potential cards that may represent them. The Sovereign of Cups and the Chariot. So the Sovereign of Cups talks about our kind of advisor self, our inner counselor, our inner teacher. And in the Suit of Cups, this is water, emotion, intuition. So you have a highly psychic ancestor that's coming through. For a lot of you, you may have known this person. I could see this being a grandmother or a grandfather figure who worked with spiritual gifts or was some kind of counsel person, or a lot of people came to them to ask them for advice or guidance, maybe not necessarily recognizing that they were using a spiritual gift, but they definitely were. For others of you, this is a much older, more ancient guide that did do some kind of shamanic, I don't know if that's necessarily a PC type of word to use, but they did some kind of spiritual healing work as well. So On the other side of this, we have the Chariot as well. And I feel that this is talking about a more youthful person who's an ancestor. That's maybe that funnier energy, like that hello, hello that I was channeling through. They really want to inspire you to laugh. So when you see silly things that you're really connected to, or just things that like are more of like nurturing what you might think of as like a childlike form of yourself, or that inner child, sorry, that guide is really coming through to show you. I also feel that this guide, they deliver quite a few messages for you, and they will actually support you through more challenging relationship issues for some reason. Like, this is more of the external world. So whereas this guide really works with you on a personal level and is maybe not ever channeled ultimately through other people as much, there's someone that maybe you can contact more in meditation. This guide can come through many other people in your life, or other networks and pathways. Okay, finally, we're going to get a affirmation from your ancestors just to close out this reading and bring you forward. So this affirmation is from the Cloudscapes Affirmation Oracle. This is an oracle that I created, and it's not released, so it's only available here in this reading. But this says, I give myself the freedom to rest and rejuvenate. And I think that's beautiful because it's I happen to place it right over the Nine of Wands and the Empress. And these are cards of being receptive to where we want to go, if that makes sense. And it's like placing this legacy without having to exert the force of exactly what we want this legacy to be. So your ancestors are reminding you that you're able to really be receptive right now. You're able to accept what the universe, what the world wants to give back to you based on what you've already done and what you've continued and you've carried forward. So yeah, these ancestors of yours want you to emphasize your ability to be free, your ability to choose, even within certain circumstances that feel like they may confine you. You're ultimately able to, resist through your rest and rejuvenation, your ability to transmute this any energy that you're subject to that you don't personally invite. That's when, when you face a challenge that's given to you from the outside world, your guides are saying, your ancestors are saying, we have enough power to be able to pad that out for you if you need to take some time for yourself. Regardless of the circumstance, you will be provided for with that space should you ask. As soon as you give the go, they're going to provide you with that. So and I think that it's also affirming to you that you have the autonomy, the authority to do that within your life as well, and you should take advantage of that ability. So thank you so much, Pile 2. This was such an honor to do for you. I ask that you potentially support me by liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, all of that. All of my other information is going to be in the description box below if you'd like to book a personal reading with me. Otherwise, I will see you in another video, my friend. I'm sending you so much love, and I'm sending your ancestors so much love and thanks for coming through and helping me channel this reading to you today. So I'll see you. Bye. Greetings, Pile 3. Or Group 3. This is your ancestor reading. If you selected this labradorite heart with this beautiful orange, pink, purple shift. So, I will admit, this pile has a bit of a heavier energy, or a denser energy. Just an energy that's a bit more difficult to carry, and also sift through. So I almost feel like a lot of you may have quite a bit of things. I don't know if these are like physical objects, but I'm getting this idea of, like the I Spy, where, it's like almost like a junk drawer, and you have to really like wade through the energy there. Sorry, I needed a little drink, a little refresh. And I feel like for a lot of you, you're in a more almost depressive energy at times recently, and I feel like your ancestors really want to come through to help to lift you from the burden of that, and recognize where maybe some of them contributed to this pattern within you. And yeah, my love is just going to you, pile 3. So let's start with a card from the OKANA Oracle. This is going to represent a more hidden aspect to your situation, or something that they really want to bring your attention to within your own ability to express your energy in your unique way. And this is Hearth. You were born to be the head and not the tail. So it's interesting that I say, as I was introducing this card, that this is an energy that they want you to almost take authority of, because I feel that this card is guiding us to, be sovereign within our energy, to be someone who is self-determining and making decisions based on an individual creative experience. So these are not, perfect decisions or the right decision, whatever you think that may be. These are decisions based outside of our judgment of good and bad, our moral mind. These decisions hold us in a space of warmth, hold us in a space of nurturing ourselves, hold us in a space of guiding ourselves forward, as the Hearth suggests. So for some of you, I don't know why I'm being drawn to your Vesta sign in your chart. This is like kind of a really deep comet that not many people look at where it is in their chart, but maybe something that helps you, because Vesta is the hearth, and it represents, the connection to the hearth, as well as Vesta is a goddess of Roman origin, I believe, who represented the hearth and the home. So for a lot of you, the origin of this pain does come from your home life, comes from a childhood experience potentially, or even if you're currently in a really difficult home situation, or you have difficulty with your shelter or something like that. These ancestors want to come through and, hold your hand through that and say, hey, we recognize that this is something that you're struggling with. For others of you, it's just, that energy of being within oneself. For some of you, you may feel like that energy of comfort, that energy of home is really difficult to find within your own life, within your body, for some of you. For some of you, there's an experience of strain in a relationship with your body, not being able to treat your body the way you want to treat it. For others of you, it's other people not respecting your ability to make decisions and be within yourself, and it's taken a toll on you for sure. So let's look at what they want to say in the Guiding Light Tarot. So these are going to be a message. Page of Cups, 10 of Swords, Queen of Cups, 4 of Pentacles, and the Magician, who's going to go on this side because I feel like that's where they should go. So, right off, we have only one major arcana out, and this is the Magician, which talks about our ability to make a conscious decision about something. So, for you, you've recently, I feel, had a new awareness about a situation in your life, and especially about your own impact within that situation, or your own ability to make decisions within certain situations. You've realized maybe that you're making a conscious decision that goes against what you truly believe at times, and what you really want to see manifest as well. I feel that this has turned into somewhat of a guilt that you carry, especially related to, maybe, for example, if this is realizing that you've been behaving out of harboring resentment for someone, and maybe projecting that onto others. So this could be, you know, resentment over a parent or a grandparent who treated you, you know, the best that they could at the time, but it still left an impact or a scar. And then, you know, maybe you project that onto friends, partners, coworkers, that kind of thing. And so I feel that this is, this Page of Cups is delivering an emotional message that you're trying to fix or change, for the majority of you, or you're realizing that you need to fix or change that, because pages represent a messenger of the emotions, right? And it's interesting that they're very similar, the page and the queen, just visually, but in between them is this 10 of Swords. So for you to evolve your emotional self and really step into being self-empowered within the emotional body, and being more in control of how those emotions are expressed, I feel for the majority of you, lies this 10 of Swords, this acknowledgement of the pain, this ability to let yourself grieve. For some of you, this actually is grieving an ancestor. This is grieving somebody who has passed on, that maybe represented a portion of this emotional experience. The 10 of Swords talks about, you know, a cycle that really needs to end, a cycle that needs to stop here. And I feel that a lot of you are really being drawn into that, guided towards that, and you're recognizing where these things are starting to dissolve. Because this 10 of Swords energy, for once, does feel like something that is beginning to dissipate, to lift. Because these sparkles, I almost see it as like the swords dissolving, or, you know, starting to fly away in a sense, since this is the suit of air. So this is also a mental conversation. What stands between you not being as in control of your emotions and being more like self-controlled, and intuitive and expressive and more in touch with your emotions without them being so painful, is this acknowledgement of how the narrative or the story that you tell yourself is impacting your ability to be in touch and in control. If our story doesn't include a lot of emotional language or a lot of acknowledgement of emotions, it's going to be really hard for us to recognize that we know the entire truth, you know, if we're never able to face it or define what it is. And I feel that's why the Magician is here. The Magician is the first major arcana, besides, I guess, the Fool card. But in the traditional tarot system, the Magician is number 1. So it talks about our ability as an individual to take responsibility for how we feel and what we've observed and acknowledged, and then how we, you know, then create and, again, like I said before, make conscious decisions. And so the 10 of Swords, I feel like, is that obstacle. It's that, you know, stand still. It's the point of, okay, this needs to change. And I feel like a lot of you are really putting on that brave face and going with it, you know, full speed ahead. With the 4 of Pentacles here, kind of closing this side, this is talking about being a little frugal with your energy, your time. For a lot of you, you're gonna really need to share certain experiences with people, because I feel like you've done so much trying to figure out on your own. You need another person's input. Your ancestors are really emphasizing that you've been holding on to too much by yourself, and you need to lean on others. This is something that, you know, comes from pride a lot of times, or it comes from an inability to recognize that there are people that can help, that want to. I actually want to consult the guidebook a little bit for the 4, oops, I'm sorry about the noise, for the 4 of Pentacles. So let's see. Because 4 is also I feel like it may also be mimicking this Hearth card. Actually, I'm going to look at the guidebook for the Hearth card. Sorry. I just felt called back there, because the 4s represent our foundations, and being in the 4 of Earth, this is something that can represent our body, our home, you know, these things that we come from in a very material sense. Sorry, it's taking me a minute to find this. I thought this was a fire card, but I guess it might be Earth. Yeah, it is. Okay. The shadow element of the Hearth card is a struggle to take accountability for one's own choices, shortcomings, or mistakes. Yeah. Okay. So this is talking about how you have maybe been a part of the cycle that you're really sick and tired of, which is really hard to hear sometimes. So I hope that you're not taking that as me, judging you or being unkind to you about that. But it is representing the ways that we harbor these energies that, maybe we inherited. This is definitely a card about inheritance, I'm feeling. So, yeah, okay. So it's saying, of course, there are times when it's a multi-party quarrel, but you can't control how others work through things, or even if they work on them at all. So it is up to you, the person doing the shadow work, to take upon yourself to work through it yourself, so that you are free from the confines of blame, feeling slighted, and allowing it to hinder your path. For example, this can manifest itself as simply a disagreement about responsibilities. If you relegate yourself, I almost said regulate, so that might be a message. If you relegate yourself to being the judge of a situation versus an active party trying to fix it, nothing will get done, and a breakdown of trust and respect are sure to follow. Your ancestors are asking you to take a leadership role in your own life and actions and work on taking accountability and being accountable as well. And I'm not saying that, it's super harsh. I feel that your ancestors are, still proud of you, and they still want to show you that support, but they also want to remind you that, when we push the blame onto our parents, onto our grandparents, onto the society that we're in, or people who have, maybe pushed against our cultural beliefs and things like that, we take ourselves out of the energy of being able to solve or find a solution or look for something that we can do to change the situation. And I feel that a lot of you are ready for that change. You've recognized that you've been more in this Page of Cups energy, and you're really wanting to step up into this Queen of Cups energy where you're taking that emotional stability from within. And I feel that you have the ability to do that, and that's why you're here, honestly. Your ancestors are, saying you're ready for this message, you're ready to acknowledge what's been going on, and you're ready to step out of situations where you're forced into, falling into old patterns, or people ask you to conform to a version of yourself that you are not wanting to be anymore. And your ancestors are also showing you that you're able to, if you're struggling with your body, if you're struggling with your home, you're able to redefine what that means for you. You're able to take the accountability in that sense and say, I haven't been satisfied. What isn't satisfying to me, and how can I make these things satisfying? How can I look at my life through this perspective of joy and through this perspective of being deserving and worthy? So, yeah. And for some of you, if someone has made you feel unworthy, that is not an excuse for you perpetuating that message of unworthiness within you. Like, you're able to, take those things, those messages, and undo them, not blame the person who gave it to you, if that makes sense. So this is going to be representing these ancestors that came through, how they want to introduce themselves to you today, and this is the 9 of Coins. These ancestors want to show you that there are so many possibilities. And they're living proof of that. Well, I guess, not living, but they still, in their life force, are influencing you in a way to show that there is proof that, you can find the good. 9 of Coins reminds you that you have the ability to enjoy something for the sake of enjoying it, because you made the decision within you to really appreciate something. I'm thinking about someone who, finds something like a cartoon character or a color or an animal, and they run with that enjoyment of it. And they say, you know what? I don't care if this thing has, a negative past, or if it has, maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea. This is something that makes me happy. And these, your ancestors really want to show that their ability to enjoy, their ability to make choices, does not depend, or does not influence how you ultimately get to define what excitement, what joy means to you. I hope that makes sense. They want to show that no matter what pressure was placed on you from your family of origin, you're able to become this diamond, like this diamond shows in the center of the card. You're able to use your own choices to liberate yourself from any confines or struggles that others have put onto you. And they want to say, you know, I'm sorry for being a part of your struggle or what's brought you to this need to transmute. They want to come through and say, you know, like, we want to give you everything, but you have to view yourself as someone who already has that, if that makes sense. Like, view yourself as, you know, being able to grow into that position, into that role. So yeah, they feel that you're the ultimate incarnation of everyone. And that's kind of a high honor to take. But they're saying, like, you know, you're a really strong manifestation of whatever bloodlines you're feeling connected to. So yeah. These are going to be some final affirmations from your spirit guides. And these are from a oracle deck that I created called the Cloudscapes Affirmation Oracle. Your only ability to have contact with them is actually through our readings, because these are unpublished. So I hope you enjoy them. Maybe I'll publish them one day. But these say, I am deserving of love and blessings. I'm going to repeat that. I am deserving of love and blessings. And 2 is, I am expanding through vulnerability. I am expanding through vulnerability. I feel like you're given options in this lifetime that your ancestors couldn't have dreamed of. And they want to show that by you showing up and being vulnerable, this allows for their wildest dreams to come true as well. Yeah, allow yourself to have grace as you move into this. But that is all I am seeing for you, Pile 3. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you, our ancestors. I thank them as well. If you want my personal information, it will be in the description. As well as please like, comment, subscribe, all of that. And I will see you in another video, my friend. Sending love.